So what kind of like initially attracted you to doing powerlifting, and why do you find it so fun?
So to give a little background, I was in the punk scene in Toronto for a long time growing up. I kind of grew up within the music scene. And so following that through up until my early 20s, I found out that I was becoming a little bit too dependent on, alcohol and like weekend binges and stuff like that. So I ended up actually seeking out something to engage myself in. And that happened to end up being roller derby. I ended up playing roller derby for 2 years, and the fact that it was a bit more of an intense sport and I could let my aggression out was just basically what I needed at the time. Worked out great. And then after that, I basically had started going to the gym to try to work out a little bit to kind of help with the roller derby. But while I was at the gym, which is just like a good life, like I'd never been to a gym before, basically. Like I've never played gymnastics as a kid. I did a little bit of karate, but it was bad, like no prerequisites, anything. I went to the gym, I started doing a little bit of that, and then I realized that I really like deadlifting. I'm 100% sure my form was trash at the time, but I I remember I liked the feeling, so I ended up actually Googling and looking up videos of like things like CrossFit at the time, because that was around 2000 and I think 14, 13 when CrossFit was kind of big at the time, online and stuff. So I'd started watching those videos, and then from watching those videos, I got kind of inspired by the really muscular, like the muscularity of the women and how strong they looked physically and how that perceived, like it just seemed like they were just so confident and like tough and cool. And so basically from there, I ended up finding powerlifting online, and which led me to a lot of the females that I've now been trained by and can call my friends, which is the coolest part about it. Because now those strong women that I saw online and stuff, I knew, and I could like be that if I wanted to. And basically from connecting to those people and stuff and reaching out, I actually got one of those women to train me for a couple of years. And in the meantime, I'd found a gym in Toronto called the Anvil. And I found them through a blog where somebody had said, if you want a good powerlifting gym, just email this guy Clint and he'll let you know if you can come out to his gym or not. And so I emailed him, and he said because it's an invite only, it was his garage and it was awesome. He invited me out, and I spent the next 3 years there. And that community actually was probably my biggest stick with it motivator in a way. So the community, on top of the fact that it empowered me and it made me feel strong and it connected me to these strong women, really like kind of was like a good trifecta of like staying with it and being super like engaged for so long and trying to basically just embody that the entire time because of how welcome I felt also through it all.
That's awesome. That's an amazing story. Thanks for sharing with us. Now you said that you were inspired by other women who are really strong to become like that yourself. Now, what is it that you find the most fun about like powerlifting or like competing in powerlifting or training with other people in powerlifting?
It's honestly, okay. So with the geared lifting was a bit of a learning curve, like I'd mentioned earlier, but the fact that it took patience and it took mindfulness and it took self-discipline was a huge motivator for me to keep going. And I just love the intensity of it and the fact that it can go, I don't want to say it can go quick, it can go bad quickly to scare anybody, but it can. And I think that degree of focus and attention to detail is super cool to me, to have to actually hone in a skill like that instead of just going in and farting around and leaving. And the community behind that was a huge factor in me loving it as well, because I had not only the chance to focus on something and become such a like technician at something that was hardcore and intense, but I had a community behind me, like helping me load my plates and spotting me and making sure I was safe and like basically just like being there for me. So that emotional and physical support was extremely welcomed. And I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't. And I've always noticed, like, you know, you can't substitute for having like a good gym environment where it just makes all the difference in the world if you have you know, people who you like being around, or a gym that you like training at versus a gym that you don't like training at. Because like, especially when you're starting out, like if you're going to the gym and it's a gym you don't like training at, like, you're probably just not even going to come back, or,
Yeah.
you know, so when you start out, that's so important. Now I do have an important